Hello, I'm LuNEJuNE, and in today's video, I'll be showing you the ultimate beginner's guide to Lucky Defense. If you are just like me and have started this game only a few days or weeks ago, this video is just for you. I will be showing you tips that will help improve your gameplay so much that Wave 80 will feel way too easy until you get to hard mode. Let's not talk about that for now. Anyway, let's dive in. Do you have issues with dealing with early game poverty? Well, this tip will absolutely blow your mind away. There is a quest in-game where if you reach 90 total mobs on the track, you will be rewarded with 200 coins. That's great, but by the time you actually get to 90 mobs, 200 coins isn't enough to get out of that sticky situation. What if there's a way to get this 200 coins early on that it snowballs for the rest of the game? Wait, there is? Oh, you just AFK. Turns out both you and your teammate can AFK the game until it reaches 90 mobs, then proceed to spawn the board. This way you can easily get an early game economy rolling and can easily snowball the rest of the game. Just make sure to not spawn way too late, otherwise you will just lose 5 energy instead of gaining anything for that investment. My small tip here is to spawn when it hits 87 mobs. That way you ensure that it's not too late to spawn. Also, make sure that your teammate is also on the same page with what's going on. There are different types of guardians in the game. These guardians have special roles attached to them that makes good synergy with the rest of the team. There are AoE damage dealers like Batman, boss killers like Lancelot, and finally support such as Coldie and Kitty Mage. Having a perfect balance between these three roles is absolutely crucial. If you only have Kitty Mages or 3 Lancelots, you might not be in for a good time. Try to evenly spread out your guardians so that they can do their best at their own specialized field. Or see what your teammate has and patch their holes in their defense. If my teammate has AoE damage dealers and boss killers but no stun or support, I like to get stuns and Kitty Mages so that we can get some kind of crowd control and mana generation. Please don't be like me and get 3 Lancelots just because Lancelots are cool. Although they did deal the most damage out of everything, you win some, you lose some, I guess. Speaking of mythics and their synergies, choose better mythics. I swear, some mythics aren't good at all, like the ninja mythic. I absolutely hate the ninja mythic. Try saving it for something better like the frog prince, for example. If you go for a mythic just because you can spawn, it won't help you in the long run as you just used up one of your guardians that was required for you to summon a better mythic. Back to the ninja. Ninja costs Mr. Werewolf, Sword Boy, and Satan himself. You can use the Wolf Warrior for Frog Prince, which if you ascend and lift the curse is one of the best guardians in the game. Let's look at Paladin for example. Paladin is used for Lancelot, which is a really good boss killer for late game. Spending these important guardians for unnecessary mythics is a waste of resource. It might be decent for early game as long as it doesn't take away your guardian recipes. Like Ninja can be an early game damage dealer and can later on shift gears to become a stun specialist. Just be sure to know what you are going for and to not spend unnecessary sacrifices for something dumb. Stuns and slows are very overpowered in this game. Not only is the #1 factor to beating late game bosses, but is in general a healthy habit to have at least 2 stun guardians on the board. Stuns are good as it keeps the mobs in place for your guardians to deal damage. If you place the stun units just right, you can stun lock the mobs in the area of the track, which lets both you and your teammate hit for some massive hits. There are a bunch of stun units in the game and I will go through some of the ones to help you grasp what you should get. For Mythics, you have Coldie. She is a really good support unit as she can both stun and slow the target. She can also deal some serious damage. She is pretty much necessary if you want to make it to higher waves as her crowd control abilities are just insane and nothing can top it. Next, Among Us. These robots are melee attackers that stun mobs every once in a while. Have 3 of them and not accidentally merge them, then they can solo stunning mobs. Next we have shock robots, similar to electro robots but they are ranged. This means they can stun from far away. That is the top 3 stuns at least in my opinion, and more stuns can't hurt honestly. Learning what each guardian does is gonna help you immensely in this game. When I first started this game, I didn't read much about the guardians and only saw the damage numbers. I probably am not the only one who did this, so my tip here is to learn what each guardian does in the game. Are they good at dealing AoE damage? Are they capable of stunning the mobs? Etc. I didn't know Lancelot can upgrade his ability with luck stones. By upgrading this, you can deal 2% of a mob's max health. This is just Holy Sword from random dice, but even better. This means Lancelot will slice through high HP mobs such as bosses. Other abilities that I didn't know was Frog Prince's Curse Lift. I seriously didn't know Frog Prince can become King Dian and become the best guardian in the game. Also, passive abilities exist, meaning they have passives that enhance your overall team of guardians. Some very good passives are Eagle General, which gives you 10% attack speed per Eagle General spawned, and Wolf Warrior, which gives you 10% attack damage to all units. If you don't have any use for them, keeping them around will enhance your overall performance. I bet many of you already know about the spawning challenge boss mechanic. It's a simple mechanic where every 10 waves or so, the game will give you an option to spawn an extra challenge boss that upon defeating it, you will be rewarded with 2 luck stones. This is really handy as luck stones aren't as common as coins, and getting a ton of them in the beginning of a match can really snowball your economy. However, one thing to note is that do not spawn these challenge bosses when you are overwhelmed. So many players, including myself, have spawned this boss just to get a bit more luck stones, then ended up losing because we couldn't handle the rest of the mobs. It seems to be that whenever a boss is taking place, the units will take that as #1 priority and target that instead. This means you will not target the other mobs and will end up with a crowd. So make sure to know your situation and decide whether or not you want to spawn the challenge boss. Communication in any game is a crucial part of the team's success, and that includes this game too. This time around, 111% decided to bless us with the chat function where we can finally chat to our teammates. I don't know why they didn't just do that for their first successor of the game. Oh well, at least it's here now. Anyway, communicating to your teammate might sound like an annoying task, and it really is, but it is helpful. I had a game where I was carrying a level 6 and I told them to spawn a bunch of kitty mages so that we can get to higher waves. And after my teammates spawned like 4 of them, we did much better in terms of mob control after that. Also, going back to the first tip of the video, some players might not understand about the 200 coin start strategy. Make sure to let them know if they don't know about the strategy. That's what happened in one of my games. There are multiple ways of spawning guardians in this game. One is from clicking the summon button using coins, and the other is literal gambling with stones that look suspiciously like casino chips? Nah, it's probably a coincidence, right? There's no way a game promotes gambling. Moving on. Well, if you see, there are 3 slots that you can spin. There are the rares, epics, and finally legendaries. Rares are good for early game defense, while the majority of luck stones go into the epics. However, what you shouldn't do is to gamble your way into the legendaries. Legendary slots only have a 10% chance of actually getting one, while also taking 2 luck stones each turn. It is way better and safer to just go for epics and building legendaries from then on. Lots of guardians have different ranges. Some have melee classification of range, and there are, well, range units that have range. However, I am not going to be talking about each placement, but rather more specifically, stuns. Stun units also have different ranges. Shock Robot has long range while Electro Robot is melee. Putting Electro Robot closer to the track is better, and for Shock Robot it's better to put it somewhere in the middle so that it doesn't take space away from melee units. Also, this is a bit more of an advanced tip, but make sure to deny any stuns on your side of the track as much as possible. What this means is to not stun any mobs that are about to walk into the middle. So if there is a shock robot that can target the left track, it will target if there are no mobs closer to it. This means it can stun lock bosses, denying them from ever walking into the kill chamber. As for the other guardians, I like to put my main DPS on the top leftmost corner, as they can deal lots of damage to the mobs. Then I like to station my boss killers one tile right of the main damage dealer so that it can kill bosses quickly. Then I like to put a melee stun unit next to that, as it will create a killing chamber for bosses and mobs. Learning how to manage your resources is a key part of this game. Make sure to have enough resources for things you actually want to spawn. If you are running low on luck stones, but you need some desperately to upgrade your cute kitty, well, you can sell some rares and epics to get your luck stones back. What is that? You need more coins to spawn a specific common unit for a mythic? Just delete some unnecessary commons on the field and get your coins back. Also, make sure to pay attention to the board max counter, as I always have trouble managing the amount of guardians that are actually present on the board. Well, that is pretty much it, and I hope some of these tips helped you learn a little bit more about the game. I really enjoy this game, so I probably will be making more content on this in the future. So if you like what you are seeing and want to support me further, please be sure to drop a like and sub to see my future uploads. Anyway, it has been LuNEJuNE, and have a wonderful day.